Hello. Check 1, 2. How's everybody doing? Looks like we have the wrong title in the stream. I'm not Jared, unfortunately. Or fortunately. I don't know. Let me see if we can get somebody to fix that one. I don't know that I have access to that. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Hit up Kyle quick. Yeah, I'm not Jared. Hang on 1 second. Getting tech support here. Sorry, everybody. 1 second here. Oh, now it has me. All right. Well, I'm not sure if you're reading it in the stream or in the on the restream down here. It says, well, with Red Giant News, it says Jared character creation with Jared Chavez. So, like all the stream's titles, it seems like it has that. Looking at all the title in the stream. Maybe it's just from my end. I don't know. I just see it says Jared Chavez. Character creation. Twitch title is also fine. Okay, so it says Daniel on the Twitch title, hopefully. Sorry, guys. It's been like, I don't know, maybe 2 years since I've streamed. But, okay, yeah. Looks like it's all right. Never mind. Okay. There we go. Okay, yeah. So, I don't know. On my back end, it says some other thing, but clearly we're okay. All right. Sorry for the delay. Welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Daniel De León. I'm a 3D artist who's worked in visual effects now for about a decade. Currently freelance and with a startup focusing actually on space debris and visualization for aerospace interests, I guess is the best way I can put it. But most recently, my credits will be seen on Blue Beetle. It's coming out soon. And Indiana Jones 5. Better for worse. So yeah, before that, recently was Black Adam, The Secrets of Dumbledore, and probably one of the proudest movies I got to be a part of and work on. The main character was Spider-Man No Way Home. Got to work on Spidey himself, Tom Holland's digital double, as well as the digital doubles of The Rock and Pierce Brosnan, and a bunch of the other main actors for Black Adam. And so just really lucky to have some great chances in the past to work on some fun movies. And yeah, so anyway, this is just some fun time here to get back to something I really love doing, which is dinosaur sculpting, something I haven't done in a while. So we are going. James, I do see you, by the way. Yes, Ziegler. Yes, thank you. So yeah, so we're just going to be working on a ceratopsian. I've been wanting to work on a monoclonius model for a while now, and so let me see if I can just share my other window here. 1 second. So I just Googled simply most complete monoclonius skeleton. Just wanted to check out what they have online. It's funny because you got a bunch of Triceratops or other ceratopsians here, but yeah, so just doing a quick search. Get some good references. I might save a couple of these and dump them into PureRef. Anyway, probably have that off screen. And yeah, if anyone has any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. I'm a huge dinosaur nerd. I've been that way since I was 10. Well, before 10, actually, but 10 was when it was like explosion for me, I guess, because of Jurassic Park. But even before then, I was obsessed with dinosaurs and I was buy plastic toys of those and, just the typical thing that boys do is just obsess over dinosaurs. Just going to make some adjustments on this base mesh, which is Z-Sphere animal that was kindly provided to ZBrush by Shane Olson. You can get the same character if you want from going into your projects folder, Lightbox, then go into projects, and then the Zizu. And then you scroll all the way down, and you should get to, yeah, right here, dinosaurs. So there's a Triceratops model. That's what I'm using as the base. But yeah, monocloniuses don't have the two brow horns, so this is going to be a little bit rearranged. I mean, they have like little, I think they like little nubs. No, not even really. Whoa. So I'm just gonna, there we go, wrong buttons. There we go. Let's try to delete those. All right. There's also, let's see, one more other reference here I'm looking for. Just a few representations of monoclonius that I have in mind. Yeah, all right. Sorry, one more second here. I hate it when you get Pinterest. You get Pinterest links. It never helps with looking at an image nicely. It's not for me. Okay. All right. Okay. Jeez. Draw out the little guy here for the beak. Jeez, I hate that when you right click and it just decides it wants to write out another one. Just gonna make a little lower jaw here too. Ah, come on. Wow, not playing nice. Jeez. Is that normal? I don't know. I feel like that's you right click just to rotate it. Shouldn't draw out giant Z sphere. I don't know if something's going on. Uh, for Lou, who's asking, yeah, this is ZBrush. ZBrush lets you create your own UI for the whole arrangement of everything. So this is my custom UI because this is where I feel most comfortable with all the tools and shortcuts and whatnot. So yes, sir, this is ZBrush. Come on. Okay, well, it's gonna be fine for now. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna go so far with Z spheres before you just have to just work with the adaptive mesh and go into Z remeshing and everything else. So we'll just start with this because otherwise I'm just too much of a perfectionist. You can just wind up messing with stuff until hours go by. Let's see here. So with Dynamesh resolution here, I'm just trying to get it a little bit more mushy, a little bit more smooth. Then I'll Z-remesh it from there. That's way too much. All right, yeah, this looks good enough. Make adaptive skin. All right, so here we are. Now we are in sculpting mode. Symmetry on. Move. Just gonna start blocking everything out here. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just clear some stuff here. Sorry, my car's in the shop today, and something unknown happened to it. All right, just checking on the update. All right. So usually I just like to, go from that basic block out, whatever it may be, to, just getting our general shapes in for a Z remesh. So this is just a good old move brush. the shape of their crests is just, it's always kind of beautiful to see and kind of imagine how it might have been actually keratin and all the other kind of decorations that they might have had. Uh, sure, you're welcome, Lou. Everything going? Is a writer strike affecting work in the entertainment industry as CG artist? In LA. Comics legend, yes. Old version of ZBrush. Yeah, sorry, I'm on 2022. I haven't upgraded to 2023 just yet, but I will be shortly. I'm really curious too to know, especially with programs like this and others that I use so much and have used so much over the years, if they're going to start adding AI features that would help simplify or expedite some tasks, because UVing, intuitive remeshing, like if it can detect this is a dinosaur, or at least a quadruped that's like a rhinoceros, or this is a horse, or if it could detect, if you could train AI, which I know you could, it's just how that would work into ZBrush, I don't know, but if you could train AI to detect certain uh, common species or creatures, characters, that kind of stuff, I think that would be amazing. Then to have it be able to retopologize with clean edge loops in all the appropriate places, so that it would give you the most optimized base mesh, without having to like sort of roll the dice with ZBrush, or having to manually place all your edge loops, or it basically just would sort of make a lot of manual topology obsolete, which would be kind of awesome, just to expedite our workflows. But who knows? We'll see what happens. But I think that'd be awesome to see. So as far as the writer strike goes, yeah, it's destroyed work for now, at least from my end. I mean, I'm not getting any calls or recommendations because it's pretty dead out there. And from what I've talked about with my friends who are also in the industry, a lot of people are hurting too. And I mean, there are jobs that are popping up for artists here and there, but it's so much more competitive now because everybody's unemployed. So everybody's like in Marvel and Disney, because they've made so many bad calls with, in my opinion, and many other people's opinions, with a lot of movies they've made recently. They're assessing, they're licking their wounds, and they're seeing that there's been a strong backlash, or at least people have been abstaining from seeing their movies to a degree that has made them reevaluate how they're going to move forward with certain storylines and all of that. So they put everything on their rosters on hold, so that means that everybody who would have been hired up to move on to another movie is not, or just being let go, once you're done with whatever projects are currently on. So yeah, it's pretty rough out there. It's really not fun. So I'm very grateful that I've become a part of this startup that I've just joined, and well, I joined like about a year ago, but we're finally just getting things going now, because it's in an industry that is unaffected by the writer strike, because it's more connected with aerospace and that whole department. So anyway, yeah. So looking forward to really starting kicking things up with them here soon. That's probably later this week, actually. Um, and yeah, I'll be honest. Like, it's sad when you're a part of a movie that you're hoping is good, but since you have no control over the writing, you're just like many of us. We're just making stuff that we're told to make, and we hope that our work is attached to something that we're proud of, or we can be proud of. But it's a roll of the dice. You never know. Sometimes you have a sense of it, like the team I was a part of, and I had a sense of what Indy 5 was going to be like, but you get to only see the scenes you work on. So you don't get to see this. You don't get to read the script. You know, you're lucky if you know someone in the company who has, but even then, usually they're not allowed to talk about it. So, you know, if they are, then you can get an idea. But I think a bunch of us were apprehensive about Indy, and now it's just apparently not beloved too much. But I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people who liked it. I've heard a lot of people who haven't. Um, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But either way, I'm sure I'm always going to be creating my own projects, and through the startup, should be working on some films for them actually too, documentaries and whatnot. So that's something I'm actually pretty excited about because that's really where I want to go with my life is storytelling, and space is something that's always interested me. Science in general, you know, so that obviously goes into space. So yeah, we'll see how things go here. It's kind of a new adventure. Exciting, and mostly exciting too because I'll be able to move toward filmmaking, and also will give me more opportunity to get me work on my own stuff as well. So yeah. Sorry, I saw the chat has some questions. I just need to fix this up for a minute. Um, Retopo and UV, please. These are orthographic views. Can you not use planes in orthographic views? This reference versus a freestyle exercise not fitted with the software. Apologies. Oh yeah. Uh, yeah, right, exactly. It's like the VFX industry doesn't have unions. Do I think going in person with CVs is better to get hired for first job? 6 months that I send my CVs and it's pretty dead. Yeah, it is pretty dead. I'm sorry, man. I hear you. I'm a senior artist, and it's kind of the same thing. I just like shop out the CV, you know, the resume, the website, the reel, whatever portfolio, and you never get a response, or you get a response like months later, being like, "We're sorry, we went with another candidate," or nothing, you know, just dead, crickets. So don't feel bad. It's happening to everybody right now because it's just a really bad market right now. It's just rough. To be honest, the artist life is not for the faint of heart either. Unfortunately, we're all rather creative, sensitive, passionate people. So it's kind of ironic trade-off where you're very sensitive or you're emotional or compassionate or whatever, you're very passionate about what you're working on and what you're doing with your life, and then this industry, the arts in general, can be very brutal. It can can take a bat to your emotions. So you have to grow a thick skin to survive, you know, to hang in there, or to figure out a way to you know, find your joy and happiness in it, without losing not losing your joy in there because of circumstances or hardship, you know, that can befall a lot of us. So let's see here. So as far as going in person, I mean, I don't know that showing up in person is necessarily going to help much unless you have an interview. So that's where networking comes into play, and that's what I'm always a huge advocate for. Um, so when I last streamed, I was streaming with just Pixelogic when ZBrush was just with that company, right? So now, for those of you who are here who have come through Maxon or you know, Cinema 4D or whatever, you haven't heard my whole shtick, I guess, my spiel, my pointers for those who are younger artists or who want to get in the industry, or you know, or just enjoying the trek. Oh yeah, and for everyone who asked, yeah, this is kind of a freestyle. I have some reference, but you know, I'm just sort of blocking out the basics here. I'll apologize later. Um, but yeah, Oliver. So I mean, I would say yes. Meeting people in person is far more impactful, and it'll remember you more if you are a memorable person who's positive and talented and talkative and can have a conversation about something other than just what you're interested in, or other than just, you know, the arts, or other than just asking for a job. Relating to people on more levels than just what you're looking to get out of them is important, right? So being able to be good with people, networking, that's crucial for anything in life, really. It's like that whole phrase, it's not so much about what you know, but who you know. And I would say with the caveat of this industry, it's not just about who you know, because you can know the right people, but if you don't have a good portfolio, you're still not going to get hired no matter who you know. Or if you do get hired, you'll be let go quickly because you can't perform. um, so it's a mixture of that. You have to. So my 3 pointers for those who care would go like, well, number one, you have to be excellent at what you do, right? You have to be excellent at your craft, whatever that is, whether it's sculpting or whether it's 3D modeling, texturing, animating, whatever. The barrier to entry is excellence, right? So because you're competing with everyone who's the best in the world, or is at least being accepted into the rings of those who are some of the best in the world, which is how they get the jobs with the studios that they work at. You have to have a certain maintain a certain level of efficiency and excellence in what you do in order to stay employed. Then beyond being excellent at what you do, which is just the bare minimum, just saying a lot. I mean, it's asking a lot. I know it's not nothing at all, but it still means that that's just step one. Step two is part two is being good with people. Just like I said, you have to be able to have a good conversation with somebody, be able to people want to be around those that they like and that they feel comfortable with, and they want to work with people who they enjoy being around. So sorry, I'm just looking for some other reference here. The likability, personability, being personable, it's very important. And I think that's somewhat underappreciated by people, by younger people who are trying to get in the industry. I think they don't realize just how important it is to be socially well adjusted, right? To be someone who's kind and confident and can look someone in the eye, smile, shake their hand. Just be normal, normal as much as you can. Just be a positive, happy person who others would like to be around. That's just it's very basic, it's very fundamental. But being someone who's of a healthy, happy disposition, it goes a long way. So being a mature, kind adult. Yeah, being likable, being happy, being confident, being of course excellent what you do, and then the third part is just luck. And I don't really believe in luck, but what I mean by that phrase is that there's that other cliche / phrase, luck favors the prepared, right? So what is preparation? But what do they say? What luck is preparation meets opportunity, right? So it's important to be prepared, and the only way you prepare is by if you have all you'll be lucky when you have all your ducks in a row. So if you have part A and part B in place, part C will happen at some point. So if you're excellent at what you do, you're good with people. That means also if you're prepared, right, you'll have your portfolio or your images or your reel on your phone ready to go. So if you meet this art director or whoever who can hire you, professional, and they say, hey, what do you do? And you get to talk, and they're like, oh, wow, can I see some of your stuff? And you say, yeah, I have it right here. And you pull it out. You pull out your phone or your iPad, or give them a link or your card or whatever they're looking for. And if you can show it to them, then that's great. Because then that means you can follow up immediately with other information, or they can ask you stuff, and hopefully you make a good impression and you get their information, right? Always try to get their info if you can, because otherwise people will say they'll call you and either they won't, or they'll forget, or they'll lose your information or whatever. So always try to exchange information mutually, and yeah, then should be good to go. That's then you've done everything you can. All right, just adjusting some music right now too. It's a little hard to talk when you have like lyrics blasting in your ears. I'm listening to some good old Paul Oakenfold, Planet Perfecto, for anybody who's a DJ nerd like myself, loves EDM. It's funny, EDM's the new term, but it used to be techno when I was a kid, right? Or dance, and now it's EDM. So it's changing the name, but it's the same type of music, same genre, electronic music. But I love all kinds of music. I love full orchestra soundtracks, 20th century classical. Anyway, sorry, I've been blabbering for a bit. I know I'm ignoring the chat, so 1 second here. Let's see. Yeah, it definitely feels kind of stumpy, stout. So I'm just blurring the masks here to make the transitions a little softer when I do this. Oh. Comics legend. Sorry to hear about your situation and many others in the industry. Jason. Yeah, thanks, comics. Yeah, it's been a bumpy road. I won't lie, man. It's like it was weird. It was actually during the pandemic. It felt like everyone still figured out how to work and get things going. And if I'm being honest, man, I struggled with a bit of depression and hardship in general, emotionally, and a lot of other things after the pandemic. Like when we were trying to all get back to regular life, it was a weird kind of transition and moved into a house. I left my apartment. I had more responsibilities, more challenges during a harder time than during the pandemic. So it was kind of a, they say bad things happen in threes kind of thing. It was just like I don't know how many, but it's been some rough roads. I won't lie. There's one thing that anyone will know is that you can count on me to be real. I'll be authentic with you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat life because life is hard at times. Life is challenging. It can be brutal. And everyone's going through something, right? Everyone has their challenges. And if you don't have any yet, count your blessings and be prepared for some to eventually come your way because it's inevitable. Life can be hard. And so all we can do is try to be compassionate, sensitive, and try to be strong, right? Try to endure and carry on, right? Look for the best in people and treat others well, and hopefully that comes back around. And to stand up for what you believe in, right? Stand up for your convictions. It's important. If you don't have any, find some. Anyway, yeah. What else you guys saying? Yeah, not having an ego. Exactly. Yeah. You have an ego. It's like if people want authenticity, if you're an authentic person, if you're not, they can smell through the BS. Like, you know, simple. Horrible networking. Thanks for the info. Depending on Blender versus ZBrush. I took community college classes for ZBrush, but Blender is more in my budget. I hear you. Well, they have a great subscription package. I think now it's really, honestly, it's not that expensive. And if you want to make this your career, I would say paying for software that's being utilized everywhere is far more important than just going with what's free. And definitely don't steal anything. Because you never know. I mean, honestly, I've seen this from other people talking about it back when I was a student. There would be companies who will put out torrents and then they'll have viruses in them. So then you've dug your grave for your computer. And I'm not saying this company or anyone that I know has done that, but I'm saying I've heard of that happening. So, and I'm not saying any names specifically, but I just know that people have had their PCs go down because they committed an illegal act, right? They downloaded software illegally. So don't do that. For your own benefit, for your own sake. Save up money. If you want to make this your career, be serious about it then, right? You pay for it and work hard, save up money, but subscriptions now make it, and that's like, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of subscriptions either. Like I'd rather own something outright. Like I'd rather just purchase, and they make that too. They have the perpetual license that you can just buy and own it outright. I'm usually a bigger fan of that overall, personally. But if you're just strapped for cash, you can always start with a subscription, and then when you can earn some money through, using the software on subscription, then purchase it outright. If you just want to have like a solid version just to last you for a while, that's a good path to take, and it's that way you're being honest and you are, keeping everything above board. That's what I'd recommend. If money's tight, which for I think a lot of us right now it is, because of everything I said earlier. It's just a rough time in the industry right now, and I don't know that it's going to get exceptionally easier in certain ways because definitely looks like AI is going to be reconfiguring the world a little bit, and art is, of course, being affected by it. I feel worse for uh, concept artists. I think that's the hardest area that's going to be affected right now. Sorry, I was trying to click off here. I want lyrics, instrumentals. All right. Excuse me. Old school house, yes sir. Papa Wise. Have Oakenfold on vinyl, nice. Yeah, man, he's one of the greats. Yeah, I'm a big, just a big techno head, man. I love all that stuff. Yesto, Oakenfold, Crystal Method, Prodigy, Juno Reactor. Oh yeah, man, there's so much good stuff out there. Can't tell I'm a little older, right? I've been told to look younger, but yeah, no, I'm actually 40. So anybody who's been around since the 90s listening to this kind of music knows that there was a golden era in the 90s and some classics that will never die. But there's a lot of good stuff now too. You just have to dig for it a little bit more. Just like anything, any genre. I mean, like what's promoted on the radio or what's popular is just what's being funded and what's being shoved down everyone's throat, for better or for worse. Some of it's good. There's a lot of it that I don't care for personally. But there's still good stuff being made out there. You have to find it. You have to dig for it yourself because it's not going to be spoon fed to you. It's not going to be given to you on a silver platter. Um, because of the powers that be wanting to give us the music that they want us to hear. So, if you like some good stuff, you want to find some new stuff, you got to dig. You got to dig for yourself. And the head just feels a little too big still. It just feels a little disproportionate. All right, we're getting there. Uh, Unitops. She have a name yet? Yeah, William. This is a monoclonius. This is an actual species of ceratopsian that they only have one mono, meaning one, right? Clonius. I forget what clonius stands for. I don't think it's horn, but it's one horn. And then they have like these little curly ones that kind of come up on the brim of their crest, which is pretty cool. Papa Wise, where am I from? Originally born in Pennsylvania. Born in the States. Parents were from Latin America. And yeah, now I'm in LA. For now. I don't know how long I'm going to be here still because life is expensive and aerospace has a lot of other areas where I can migrate to now. So I think I might be getting another place. I might bounce between here and somewhere else. Maybe Florida. We'll see. Cape Canaveral's looking pretty cool. A lot of launches happening there. So it'll be very directly relevant to the work I'm going into. So we'll see. But I love the weather and the creative people and friends that I've met here. It's just frustrating that California is so incredibly expensive and yeah, it's just you got pockets of nice areas and then a lot of areas that are just not the greatest, or a lot of cities, I should say. You got a lot of, I should say, pockets within LA County are nice, and then there's just a lot of areas downtown that are not the greatest. San Francisco is going bad. Yeah, California, but like San Diego, I like San Diego more, but I hear it's homeless issues are getting there too. I don't know. We'll see where I go, but I think Florida is definitely on the list. Because I love the beach. I live near the ocean here. about 2 miles away from me. So yeah, and I like just like a nice quiet community. I moved into a little house, know my neighbors, know the neighborhood, good people. You got families and older folk who are retired, so I like the peace and quiet. Um, Turned into an old man. I'm 40. It's like I want the peace and quiet. Lets you focus in more too. With more room, you don't have people stomping around you or making noise or whatever else. Uh, what's up, Mark? How long did it take me to get comfortable with ZBrush? A couple months, I would say, like 3 or 4 months, maybe. Solid work, maybe 6 months to really say I was comfortable. But even then, it was like I didn't know everything. It's like Maya in some senses. There's a lot of different compartments to learn. Maya has way more, I would say, because it's got everything, animation and rigging, but this has its variations of that. Excuse me. You know, and I've seen people do similar things in other software, but this is still, I would say, for sculpting, man, this is still the gold standard. And I know people talk about Blender and others, and talk about how there's features they like, and each program has its strengths and weaknesses, and there's nothing to say that you can't be utilizing others to achieve what you need. But yeah, this is still, I would say, the gold standard when it comes to sculpting, man. Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the channel. I mean, I'm on the channel because I love it. I'm not being paid. Not being paid to say that. I'm just sharing my honest opinion. And it's great for like preparing things for 3D printing too, because that's what this is. Some of these are going to go toward is printing these bad boys. So I've been modifying, just tweaking some things. Like for those who don't know, like I make some Raptors and I sell these as well, and sold some to guys at ILM and Lucasfilm and people who've worked on the Jurassic films and whatnot. It's been a pleasure to be able to work on some of these for them. This is my JP Raptor that's faithful to the original film. This is a finished dyno. This is just the front half, actually, so I should do that. So still tweaking this, but let me get back to see if I can show you the whole thing here quick. It's a neutral pose. Just fixing the face and the head a bit, but yeah, this is my Raptor. Well, I should say, really, this is a Stan Winston's Raptor, Jurassic Park. This is 1-to-1 accurate with the film, the original. I used to work for the Stan Winston School of Character Arts with Matt Winston and Son of Stan and Eric Lintoff and a bunch of other very great people. And they gave me some access to some amazing photos that I think they've now released, but for a long time the public hadn't seen them. And they were behind the scenes shots in the shop of the Raptors, finished sculpts, but not painted yet. Right? It was the latex skin that was already on the animatronics or on a stand-in for the animatronics. And so I got to see all the details just purely lit on a very nice kind of like off-white color latex skin. So it gave the perfect contrast for seeing all the wrinkles and lines and details. And so I would say that I would be proud to say I compete with what's his name? Starts with a J. Is it Julia? No, it's not. Julian. Rubin? I forget his last name. Starts with an R. I think it's Rubin. Forgive me. I should know his name. He's an amazing sculptor as well. His Raptors and his T-Rex. I actually purchased them because it was so good, and it's been my goal to make screen accurate Raptors, because for the longest time you couldn't buy them anywhere. You know, it's like the maquettes by Horizon Models. For those who know who are old school, were casts from the maquettes that they used for the original for Stan Winston. But the maquettes were the maquettes. The final on-screen versions varied in proportions, wrinkles, folds. You know, the arms were thicker, more muscular, and a little shorter. You know, the maquette has longer, spindly ones. Looks creepy. They were both beautiful in their own right, but I wanted to create what I saw in the movie because the maquette wasn't in the movie. It was the final full-sized one that they made suits that people were in, and they were also robotic and animatronic. So anyway, so I worked really hard to achieve that, and I feel like I have. I am making some tweaks on the head because I just noticed there were some little things I missed, but nothing that I think anyone would really care about. But yeah, so if you want to hop on my site, you can always order one if you want, and I can 3D print it and send it to you. It's lion-arts.com. I'll put it in the chat if you guys are curious or you just want to peruse and see some of my other work. That's me. Let's see what else here. Marcus says he's in High Springs, Florida. I love it here. Nice. I've never been to High Springs, Florida. I've only been to Key West years ago when I was like 18 or 17, I think. I was really young. I was 18. So I couldn't go to any of the bars, which is the funny part, because I remember they were saying that Key West has the highest concentration of bars anywhere in the world, apparently. So it had the most amount of bars in the smallest place, like an island, anywhere in the world. So if you really want to get drunk and wasted, that was the place to be. But anyway, for someone interested in hard surface modeling, getting into CAD files and 3D industrial design, specifically motorcycle design manufacturing, and ZBrush, good option. You can do hard surface modeling, but I think for that kind of precision, honestly, it seems like I have friends. So like, I live alone now, but I used to live with. I had my last 3 roommates all worked at Tesla. Now one of them is a concept artist at Honda in their their concept vehicle division, like the design division. So he has a great place, great position there. My second to last roommate or first roommate who worked at Tesla, Swedish gentleman, young guy, excellent artist. He actually designed the interior of the Cybertruck and the Cyber Quad, which is their ATV, their electric ATV that you get if you order the like whatever the highest edition of the Cybertruck. So that his name was Simon. My other 2 other roommates from Tesla were both named John, ironically. And John, number one, he uses AutoCAD or he uses AutoCAD. Or no, Alias. Sorry, Alias is what it's called. So I guess AutoCAD still makes Alias, if I'm not mistaken, which I remember used to be the name before they became Maya. Before Maya became Maya, it used to be just called Alias. But now I guess they still have an offshoot that is Alias, if I'm not mistaken. I hope it's still connected to AutoCAD, or maybe it's another software now. I don't know. Maybe Alias is its own thing. But anyway, I just know he uses Alias, which is a 3D rendering package, which allows you to really tightly control. I guess splines still are nerves, so that it has very mathematically perfect curves, so that you can dictate how the highlights, because that's all what comes down to when it comes down to car design. It's all about how the car's body reflects light, right? And so it emphasizes the curvatures and the beauty of it. Sorry. So anyway, that is probably where you want to go if you actually want to do splash myself. If you actually want to do vehicle design, but I think you can do great concept vehicle design, and I've seen some nice stuff done in ZBrush for sure. But if you want to do serious vehicle design, I don't know that they use ZBrush for. I don't know if they use ZBrush in the automotive industry fully, really. I know, of course, they go old school Chavant clay and sculpting all that in studio against a mirror. Like I've seen that classic stuff. But I don't know if they've migrated that into ZBrush much, or if that process is still a very hands-on kind of thing where they just like to keep it all traditional and then go into Alias for digital. So I'm not sure. Sorry, just looking back at some reference. What else? Yeah, go for it, man. Try it out for sure. Someone is showing her service. Da, 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 da. Do you recommend any online classes for ZBrush? Yeah, I mean, well, you can do the ZBrush workshops. I mean, or not ZBrush. Sorry, that's where I started. They don't exist anymore. Go to the ZBrush classroom, the Z classroom. Through I guess Pixelogic doesn't exist anymore because they got bought out by. They do exist, I guess, but they're subsidiary of Maxon. So if I'm not mistaken, just Google Z Classroom, and it'll take you to the site page there, and you can get your basics covered for sure. Um, I mean I give private lessons if you ever want to hire me. I can be more than happy to give you some classes on that too. Send me an email or direct message, whatever. And if you wanted to do one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to give you some training. I've done it before, and I'd be happy to do it again. And I'm proud to say my students have very quickly accelerated in their ZBrush knowledge. So that's always an option for anybody who is looking for private lessons one-on-one. I can rock your world with ZBrush and get you up and running quick. I won't say they're cheap. It's not cheap, but it's definitely still worth the price, worth your time. And as somebody who I'm very honored and proud to say I was part of a team that was Oscar nominated for Spider-Man: No Way Home. I specifically was working on the musculature of Tom Holland during animation. So we would do thousands of blend shapes when he's punching and striking. We really filmed Tom doing all that stuff, but we had to then we didn't cheat. We didn't like roto out his body and then just put the suit in there. We went on top of his actual footage. So the blur, the muscles, everything had to be one-to-one accurate from the perspective of the camera. There was no cheating done there. So while his whole suit from the neck down, and at times even his face, while that's all CG, it had to match to his body exactly one-to-one like it would in real life. Otherwise, you would have seen it. So proud to say that I was directly working on some major shots. And I have to update my site and reel with all those shots because there's like tons of shots that I worked on in that movie. Some of them completely CG, some of them most of them mixture actually, probably maybe most 50-50. Some were just completely CG, and then some that were live action, like we just went over top, like I said, over top of his body. But yeah, so I left the medical industry before I got into visual effects, so my anatomy background knowledge is, I would say, robust, strong. Again, I wouldn't say I'm the world's greatest anatomist, or I'm not gonna put that out there at all. But I would say that it's that I feel confident in my anatomy, and it's not about memorizing every single name of every muscle and bone, but it's more so about intuitively knowing how the muscles flow and work with the skin and bone and joints. And then, of course, if you need to actually bring up names, I mean, just look up, have your artist anatomy for artists book. I have mine somewhere here, actually. I don't know if it's on my desk right now, though, or probably got migrated somewhere else because I haven't used it in a bit. Well, maybe some other stream I'll show you guys. But look up. It's a blue cover with a forearm, beautifully drawn, and it's called Anatomy for Artists. It's a classic book. I should know the name of the author, but I'm sorry, it's slipping my mind right now because it's been a while since I've looked at it. But that has such classic, iconic reference for the human body. I'm not sure it'll ever go out of style, so to speak. But that's crucial for anything human, of course. I lean more toward animals, but my human anatomy knowledge is strong because I've had to deal with human anatomy for so many years. First clinically and physically in the real world, and now digitally, because like it or not, those are the jobs that often pay, or more frequently, I should say. They all pay, but I mean, human anatomy is much more common a need than animal anatomy by leaps and bounds more common. Which I would love to change because honestly, I'm fascinated by the natural world. I love animals. And I think that there are far more intelligent animals out there. I mean, I think animals are far more intelligent than we give them credit for. They have emotion and thought processes that are similar to ours, but of course very different. But it's undeniable. You look at a dog and you see that they have a soul and they have something behind their eyes, and they relate to us in a way that not many other animals do. And then you also have cetaceans, toothed whales, and non-toothed whales, incredibly emotionally intelligent, cerebrally intelligent animals, in ways that we will never have because they have parts of the brain that are larger than ours. yeah, so we just, I don't know. I love the natural world, and I think that we should be the greatest caretakers of it that we can. Um, I think of it as one of the first commandments we ever had from God, if you believe in Adam and Eve. But whether or not you do, I think that it's such a great thing to take care of the world and take care of our of nature. And I think that there are extinctions happening all the time, and I think it's sad. While some of it's just the way life goes, I think some of it is preventable, and I would love to see humanity in general just grow in their admiration for the natural world and its preservation, just simply because living things deserve to live peacefully as much as they can. Of course, they eat each other, but I just would love to see us do less damage and do more good for animals and for the natural world. So that's a passion of mine. Um, I love the ocean in particular, so I always advocate for dolphins and whales and all that stuff. Um, all the sea life out there. Sorry, I know that I've seen some chat come in there, so I'm not trying to ignore you guys. Just trying to balance the educational entertainment factors here, aside from just talking my mouth off. Trying to get back to some of these references. Let's see here. Tab. All right, one more sec here. Excuse me. Okay, so let's bring this up here to show you guys something I'm looking at. This is a beautiful. I think it's a replica that's reproduced in a way that looks just like the original. But this is a great skeleton of the monoclonius. I mean, there's obviously missing some details up there and whatever, but at least it shows us some of the facial structure. That's pretty good. Um, see here. So anyway, so that's what I'm looking at right now. Um, let's see what other. Do I have any prop work? Sorry, I was going back up there. Yeah. Have I done any prop work? Yeah, a bunch. For stage and for have I done any for film? Actually, I don't think I have done any for film, but stage is same process. I mean, you model something, then you have someone 3D print it and use it, hold it, ride in it, run in it. So yeah, I used to work for Sight and Sound Theaters, which is this huge theater in Pennsylvania, and they have another sister theater in Branson, Missouri, and they do like giant biblical productions. So I worked on the show Moses, and I designed a bunch of statues and some props. Like a giant scarab that comes apart. It was like a puppet. The main statue of Moses, I was the lead and only sculptor on it, which was awesome to be a part of. For Moses, there's other artists who worked on the base. At least I should say like the title and the rock, but then I did all the like the sand. And so if you go to my website, you'll see Moses. He's like parting the Red Sea. He's got his like war cry going, and he's holding up his staff. And I designed there to be water waves that come off the sides. They were massive, but they were like, it's $80,000. It's like way too much. So they couldn't add that, but they loved the idea. And they designed like lights and everything, so it looked like you're underwater. Like you have the caustics kind of passing through giant acrylic waves. It was going to be really cool. Maybe they'll add it someday. I don't know, because that idea is still out there for them. But anyway, yeah, so I've done a bunch of props. Yeah, and most recently, I guess the biggest thing, because that was where I got my start, actually, was at Sight and Sound, doing modeling for their stage sets and props and design for them. And then I was lucky to work at the same time I was working on Spider-Man No Way Home. I was working on that in days, and at nights I was working on Katy Perry's show for her Vegas residency. So if you can go to my site, and you can see a bunch of that stuff that I did for them. And I gotta say, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was fun. It was cool. I did like one of her whole sets that was the mushroom set. So I got concept art from art directors, and then I went ahead and just went nuts with it under their direction. So it was a combination, very collaborative effort. And then I give the files over to a production house that would physically produce, CNC, mill out, create inflatables. A lot of them were inflatables. Some of them were physically hard too, so they could have Katie and the guitarist actually walk up the stairs that were built into this giant blade of grass. So we had to hide the stairs and made the blade of grass large enough so that the stairs were kind of hidden in its silhouette. So when you're looking straight on sideways, you wouldn't be able to see their steps. They would just look like they're walking up a blade of grass, which is pretty cool, like Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, where they're tiny, So they get on top of this giant mushroom that's really solid, and they rock out and sing on top of this mushroom. And then I did her giant snail. So this huge animatronic snail that she comes riding out on, and I got to design that whole thing. And then they also had a giant. They had a bunch of trash objects. There's this one trash stage, but they also had me sculpt the actual giant can that she's on. So there's steps that are designed into the crumpled can of beer. That's her branding. So she walks up the stairs there and then kind of lays down on the can. And that's like another huge prop that I sculpted for them. And there's a giant apple core as well. I don't think I have that on my site, but it's just an apple core, whatever. And some other stuff. So anyway, that's another bunch of props that I got to do, which are huge practical pieces. So yeah, proud of that. And oh, sorry, I gotta tap out. Yikes. Okay, 1 second. So that's DJC. That was your question. See, also being streamed to Twitch. What's Twitch channel name? Want to follow there too? I think it's Pixelogic. I think if you look at Twitch, it's Pixelogic's Twitch channel. Maybe Maxon too. Or Red Giant News. So I think it's actually Pixelogic's Twitch and Red Giant News. I think you can find them both. If I'm not mistaken. You can find us on there. What else? Do I recommend any online classes to learn ZBrush? I think I already answered that, right? So yeah, the Z Classroom, YouTube, of course. There are some good courses on Gnomon Workshop as well. Like I said, I can privately tutor anyone who would like to. Just send me an email. Drop my email in there. So he was asking, what's it called again? Alias, I think is what you're asking for, or Wavefront. Someone said Wavefront. X-Car Designer here. They won't work in any other software. Yeah. So Wavefront's the company that makes Alias, right? I think that's correct. I wonder if ZBrush is used in the fashion industry. Here and there, integrated. Yeah, I think it could be roughly, but I know that Marvelous Designer is definitely the way to go for the fashion industry because it's made for tailors and seamstresses, people who understand how patterns are made for clothing. So I would say that you'd want to go with Marvelous Designer if you're looking for, but if you just want to concept stuff, yeah, ZBrush could definitely be cool for that. I just think that once you've learned Marvelous Designer, that's the most efficient tool that can go from digital to real and be useful, in both areas. Let's see. Everyone's saying amazing, thanks. Yeah, of course, man. I guess you're saying thanks for offering tutoring. I don't know. You're welcome for whatever, though. What else here? A company near me that does theme parks. Want to be able to sculpt characters, some of which rhyme with Disney, and incorporate them into scale models of theme parks. Any advice? I advice would just be hit up the Imagineering team, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because I've done some stuff so I worked on the engineering side of Bowser in Super Mario World. I should put that in my portfolio too. I keep forgetting to. So I was hired to help with the keying for all the parts of Bowser. So I wish I could have gotten to sculpt him because I would have killed it. But it was another talented designer who also does artist dinosaurs as well. So he got that job, sadly. But yeah. There's no way I've ever gone after that stuff, only because I don't know whose door to knock on until after I've met them. But yeah, I would just say, having your portfolio stuff that is rendered to look like what you'd have in a theme park. And yeah, because when it comes to CNCing, it's just a matter of providing the right file type and having accurate real world dimensions for your for your objects. And then it's a collaborative effort, because if it's big, you always have to have like some sort of structural engineer who's going to be able to compute the weight. I think they use SolidWorks for that, and they'll compute the weight and the weight distribution and materials, and it calculates all of that, so it gives them the right dimensions and material needs to create an infrastructure internally, so that the object that's large won't, it'll be up to code and won't harm anybody or damage anything when it's actually in use. So yeah, all bones in museums are replicas. Yeah, right, exactly. Because I say that because there's this one was the original was displayed for a long time back in the day. It was like there's old photos of it, of the actual original fossil. This is like back in like the 20s, I think, or something, or the 30s. Would you recommend to start learning to sculpt animals? Do I recommend to start learning to sculpt? It's just basically what I'm doing now, man. Andreas, just look at real examples of animals, and then just start blocking stuff out. You got some great resources here. Like I was saying, if you have ZBrush, you go into your Lightbox, and then you go into Project, and then you go to ZZoo, and you've got a whole ton of animals here that are ready to go as your base mesh. That's your foundation, and that's what I started with here, and then I just quickly dynameshed it, and now have been just moving proportions around, blocking out the size and shape of everything. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just a matter of it's just doing the work. There's no like super easy quick way other than just observation, right? I mean, at the end of the day, while you're digitally sculpting something, you're still sculpting, right? So it's still the same concept of you observe and you replicate, right? Push, pull, add, subtract. That's what it comes down to. So I'm just putting in some rough beats here for where some of the musculature will go. As you remesh this, probably putting in a little bit more detail than it needs, but it's all right. I think I should do too, because I'm just looking at bones and some basic sculpts. I should probably look up rhinos. Father was a structural engineer for the Air Force. Hopefully, it's in the genre. Thanks. Yeah, in the genes. Sorry, genre. Not genes, not genre. Yeah, man. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the engineering so much. I mean, if you can think of partitioning things where it makes sense, like logical breakpoints. So if you have a giant character and they have a shirt or a bow tie or a hat, whatever, wherever the apparel makes contact with the character, that's a logical breakpoint. So if they need to section things off in a way that makes sense but hides the seam where they break it up, always choose seams, wrinkles, folds, contact to two different materials, whatever. That's like, if they're wearing gloves, if it's Mickey, right where the glove meets the wrist, that's a logical breakpoint. Pro tips, it's just simple stuff that people forget maybe or don't even think about, but whenever possible, it's always nice to hide the seams in areas that like I said, have folds, seams, wrinkles. Same thing with like if you're making an animal. Same idea. I'm looking for an example right now with rhinos. Rhinos have easy examples, I guess you could say, because they're covered in wrinkles and folds. So, like here. So, like obviously, one of these thick wrinkles right here. If you had to do something like the whole head, the ears had to come off. Like you have these nice wrinkles right around the ears. Even like horns, you could emphasize one of these wrinkles. Legs right there, nice break right there too. So, yeah. Yeah, but man, rhinos are just absolute units, man. These guys are little tanks. Look at that. It's, it's different anatomy than a bison, but they're still like I think rhinos are quite a bit bigger in the end, weight wise, but they both feel like prehistoric animals, It feels like rhinos, giraffes, bisons, and some antelope. Just got a message from Kyle. Thanks, dude. um, yeah, they just feel like they're animals that are left over from prehistory. I feel like there's just some species that we've got that give us kind of a window back into that time that somehow just lasted, all these years. Sorry, just replying to Kyle quick. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I think rhinos. Well, again, they're mammals, and dinosaurs are something else. I'm guessing since we all generally scientists think that dinosaurs were warm-blooded, most likely, and they think they're like distant cousins, distant cousins of birds. Um, Most likely they were warm-blooded, of course, and so probably more in common with species we see today than we think. Just very alien though compared to everything else. Um, all right, how do you know you're done with blocking that you can pass to the next step? Notice you take your time in your blocking. Yeah, also because I'm chatting, but crocs and sharks are like that too. Yeah, totally, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'll probably say like cephalopods, and like nautiluses, like those all feel like they could have been alive with trilobites, that kind of stuff. Yeah, how do I feel like? How do you know when you're done with blocking? I mean, I'm pretty close to that now. I think I just want to probably do some stuff for the toes here on the rear end, on the rear legs, and then I'll retopologize. Um, yeah, but I feel like I'm getting there. Um, Sorry, but I don't know if I really answered the question, but how do you know when you're done? It's kind of a personal thing. I guess it's an individual thing. It's just where you feel comfortable, where you realize that you're kind of pushing things to a degree where it just makes sense to say, well, you're comfortable with where things are, and that now it's you're not going to need much more blocking. That it's just going to be paint topology is what you need. So, like, this is obviously not the ideal topology. It's not horrible, but I mean, it's very dense and it's easier to work with slightly, like to have subdivisions where you can go up and down the scale of steps of subdivisions. So we're going to actually add like separate toenails here. So I'm just sort of adding blobs for what will lead to the toes. Second here. All right. Oh man, here's a great reference. Um, just found this guy. That's awesome. It's funny because some of the references I was looking at, the horn curves back, and then this one's like kind of curving forward. It's pretty cool. Different. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Like some of the horns on the same animal curve back, and some curve forward. Hmm, interesting. I guess it's optional. Either that, or some of them were just assumed, to go in certain directions. I don't know. Man, some of these look very different too. Definitely variety. Because here's another one that has a horn curving forward. Really seems like there's variability. Like some really curve forward, some really curve kind of up and back, and some are just going like straight up. Interesting. Let's see here. Here's another example, like I was saying, of one that's curving forward. And you got this like huge nasal. It almost looks like it's a deformity because it's such a huge like cavity. for the sinus, for the nostrils. Because it's not like others. Others, they have a bit of that curve, but it's very different. So man, it makes you almost wonder if it's the same species. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's miscategorized. I don't know. But then the crest and the frill looks correct. So no, it's a mixture of things. Guess I'm gonna keep it curved back though. I kind of like that. Anyway, any more questions? Anybody? Sorry, I hope I'm not boring you guys. I saw some people have left. Shorten this a little bit. The trick for those who don't know, if you hold Alt, for the move brush, you hold Alt, and then you pull on your slide left or right, you can move it against the normals. So the normals are pointing, like I'm moving my stylus left and right on my Cintiq, but it's moving this outward. See that? So it uses the normals and it pulls them in the direction of the normals if you hold Alt and then drag. That's something helpful when you know you want to move things forward and forward from its perspective, away from its surface in a sense, in perpendicular movement to its surface. What made me leave the medical industry? Working in the ER. Yeah, kind of got depressing. Being honest, it was hard to watch people suffer and die. But as hard as it is to watch that, what made it worse, I think, and I don't know how many people realize this, maybe more than I think, but for me, it really made it clear that what's probably, in a sense, almost harder than watching someone, it's someone you don't know, say, someone you don't know, watching them die. If you're in part of the team that's helping control their passing, you can at least do what you can with painkillers and make them feel comfortable so that they're not suffering in the process of passing on. But when it comes to watching that effect on the family, seeing the loved ones affected by that, that's what really is a gut punch, I think, is seeing people suffer the emotional trauma of seeing their loved one pass on. That's really hard for me. And as someone who's empathetic, I think it eventually can really, it wears you down. And it's just once in a while, if it's just once in a while, it's not that bad. But if it's frequent occurrence, which in the ER it is, that's when I was like, I'm done. I did geriatric care for a while after that, which is kind of bad, I guess, in a different way, because you get to have more of an emotional, it's not so acute, it's more chronic, so you have more prolonged relationship with this person until they pass. And so it's just like a grandparent sort of, or an uncle or aunt passing away, so it hurts too. And again, seeing that affect the family where you usually become close to if you're taking care of their father or mother and helping them. It's not easy to just watch them suffer. So yeah, so that's what made me leave. It was just the emotional pain. I'd hold it together at work, and then I'd just sob when I come home in the driveway, and I'm just like, I'm not happy. Like, this isn't the life that I want. I don't want to live depressed, and it's just, I don't think it's a natural state of existing, really. When you think about it, like, all creatures do not do that, right? They allow their family members or their loved ones, so to speak, to pass. They grieve and then they move on. They don't have an operating room, right? They don't have a whole system to try to prevent death, right? It's just something that happens. They lose, they grieve, and they pass, and they move on. And so as humans, we have this amazing ability to prevent death or to try to prevent death, but then in turn it can also prolong suffering and or not just prolong suffering, but also for those who are doing that work, which are usually few people against the whole population, you're so hyper concentrated and focused in that area that it's just you're saturating yourself in agony and pain and surrounding yourself with it all the time. And sometimes it's like the ER wasn't like the show at all. It's either far worse or far more boring. It's more bipolar in that sense. Some days you just have a lot of people coming in with sorry, 1 second here. Oh no, yes, you have people coming in with like very typical issues, like chest pain, shortness of breath, syncope, kidney stones, burns. You just have things happen that you have people coming in with just kind of mundane sort of injuries, or car accidents, which are terrible. But you have car accidents are more trauma, but you have those mundane things. There's some days where that's just all that comes in, and it's kind of really slow and just methodical, and you're just kind of all just doing your job, but it's just sort of dragging. Your days drag, and no, there's no drama really. It's just going through the motions, taking care of things. And then there are days where you just have all hell break loose, and it seems like hell's broken loose. Like you're dealing with all these different people with all these different issues, and all trauma, like all a nightmare, and it becomes so overwhelming that like our hospital, the one I worked at, it was one of the top 50 in the country, so it was a really good hospital, and because of that, everybody would want to come to that hospital, and Lancaster General, and it was rough. Yeah, I mean, it's so popular that it's like we have to go and divert. So we have to like turn people away. So, you can't send your trauma patient here. You have to go to Hershey Medical, or you have to go to Ephrata Hospital. You have to go to some other hospital, So that would happen quite a bit. So it was sort of the price for being like a renowned hospital is that, people want to go there. But then that means that you become overwhelmed and people have to start going elsewhere to let your staff breathe and just to provide good medical care, because if you have too many people coming in and you can't service everybody correctly, then you're going to start losing bodies. You're going to start losing people because you're splitting, you're spreading yourself too thin. You're spreading your staff too thin. So it's a delicate kind of balance that has a firm wall where eventually they just tell, like I said, ambulances or whoever else, doctors, that you can't send your patient here because we are overwhelmed. Yeah. So anyway, it's just a lot of stress, man. So it's a lot of stress that I think if you're really called to be in medicine, then it takes a kind of it's a cliche too. Like it takes a special person. I mean, it does, but I think more so, there's a lot of people I think there are fewer special people than they realize. There's a lot of people in medicine, I would say, probably shouldn't be in it, personal opinion, because of how they start to treat people after a while. I think a lot of people can become jaded and become really cynical, and they kind of start treating people a bit more cold and more like cattle. And that's just, no one wants to be treated that way, right? And sometimes not me, but I mean you, like them, people could look at them and say, well, this person's the drug seekers, look how they're acting, or they're faking it, or they say they have this. And there was big contention back in the day, like, is fibromyalgia real, or is it just in their head? Obviously we now know that's real. And like, I knew it firsthand from my childhood because my mom had it. I guess she still deals with it to some degree, but almost none now. But it's a condition that for a while was contested as, could this be something that's psychological, neurological, not physiological? And so that was a huge issue, and so there would be people nurses who would mistreat some of these patients who said they had fibromyalgia, or they had pain that they couldn't seem to find the source of in an easy way. But that's because it's a different animal, inflammation and other issues. But there's always these contentious people who, are just listening too much to textbooks and not keeping up with more cutting edge research, right? Papers. Studies. So anyway, yeah. So it's just, medicine's, it's a business, sadly, and I think that's where it's a double edged sword in my opinion. So anyway, probably don't want to get too more deeper into it, but anyway, yeah, that's why I left medicine. um, you sound like Elon Musk. That's I guess that's a compliment. I like Elon a lot. In general, I mean, no, I don't think anyone's perfect. I don't put anyone on like a crazy pedestal, but I do admire Elon a lot for how he's guided his companies and accomplished so much. It's awesome. He's a cool dude. You're not high, I swear. That's funny. Thanks, man. I'll take it as a compliment. So thank you. Um, Elon's a brilliant guy, and yeah, I love Tesla. I'm a fan of SpaceX for sure, and I'm very curious to see the Boring Company actually. I'm very curious to actually use one of their tunnels. I think it'd be pretty awesome. All right, so I think we're at the point where we can. I'm going to be jumping off here around 6-ish. I'm not sure if there's someone else after me or not. I didn't see anyone after me when I signed on for this time slot, but I don't know if they have someone scheduled, so I'm going to jump off at 6 either way. And all today, so that gives me about 15 minutes. But I think we're at a jumping off point here, which will be to do a ZBrush. Some cleaner topo in here. Wrong way. So right now, yeah, if you can see slash, I'm using the slash ZBrush here. Excuse me. And I usually bring down the Z intensity to around the 40s or upper 30s because anything in the 70s is pretty strong, and it's almost too strong for most needs. So again, if anyone's wondering, like, why are you still doing some of this work if you're gonna retopo soon? Well, because the retopology is going to be automatic, and it's going to conform to strong shapes, right? It's going to detect strong edges and creases and whatnot, and aim the algorithm will aim to keep them. So because of that, I try to emphasize the areas I'm blocking out as much as I can with the shapes that I will require in order to be able to manipulate the model in a way that I would like or need for it to look better. So I'm just sort of masking here. I'm going to pull out the legs because seem a little narrow, a little thin. I'm going to hold control, tap on the mask a couple times to blur it, invert it, tap a few more times to blur it a little bit more. Here to rotate, place this kind of in the center where the hip joint would be, right where it would attach, somewhere there. Then separate the legs a little bit. A little too far, maybe. That. All right. Go. And fix the feet here in a minute. And some nice pads. I don't want to get this area that can be a little bit more flat. Hold control and shift and flip curve. A nice little flattening of the pads. And do a little smooth. There we go. And it's probably a little bit too strong, so do this. Blur. Yeah. Okay. I think we're at a good Z-Topo area. Can't forget to give him a place to relieve himself. Little turtle cloaca. This. All right. I think we're looking good. So maybe make this a little. There is a little deeper. Probably want to go with the mouth a little bit more too. Might actually divide this once and then. And what am I doing here? Double. All right. A little bit of depth of mouth, and I can add a tongue in there afterwards. Okay. Not perfect at all, but you know, blocking out. Blocking out's kind of done. Okay. Let's divide once, delete that, just to kind of add some more geo in there so that it knows how smooth to make all this. Did I mention to the about the GeoBrush? My internet is taking a break today. Huh? Good night, good luck. Hey, all right, see you, Raven. I don't know if you mentioned. I didn't see anything about GeoBrush. I don't know if you're asking about the Z modeler brush. If you have any questions about that, though, feel free to let me know. Sorry, I was looking back at one thing before I ZBrush. Just looking at that beak again. So much variability in these skulls. Actually, um, All right. Enough tweaking. ZBrush time. Also, quick save, just in case. You never know. It may not be that quick because I have like 30 million polys on that other raptor and some other stuff. So sorry, it's going to take a second, but we are almost done anyway. ZBrush, what you used to make the projects for the theater and Katy Perry? Yes, sir, it was. Yep. Yep, everything was modeled and sculpted in ZBrush and then textured in Substance Painter. And then the files were segmented and exported out of ZBrush. Scaled in Maya, I believe, just to make sure. And then those were exported out to them for them to manufacture. All right. So quick saves, ZBrush. All right, so what do we got here? 200,000. If I can keep it. Well, what I will also do, so I can project some of this back, is duplicate it. And I'll actually leave, I'll work on the duplicate here to ZBrush instead of the other one. I'll just make it invisible for a sec. And curves not affecting. Adaptive size. Yeah, let's leave it at like 36. Target polygon count. Let's keep it around 10,000. And let's see what we get with this. Let's see. What do we want? Detect edges. See how this goes. Nice. All right. Kind of annoying star there, but it's okay. It's hard to avoid those. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. I like this. Some nice circles around the eyes, some nice circles around the nose, a nice little area here in the mouth. That's a little meh. I could probably work with that. Here feels a little stretched. I don't know. Butthole. Let's see here. I might try one more time to see if I do another ZBrush if it looks any better. Leave it all the same. Let's just go again. See what happens. It just shifted the star down. Interesting. It's a little annoying. Yeah, kept things around the same. All right, so let's change it up a little bit. What do we do here? Could try freeze border and let's make it 9,000. Error occurred. What the heck? Maybe it didn't like freeze borders. It doesn't matter. Let's just try and see what it is now. Yeah, place a star in there. All right, so it's kind of unavoidable. I like the previous version. All right, we'll go with this. That's fine. Good enough. 18,000. All right, whatever. That's good. It's workable. So yeah, this is where we'll leave it today, guys. So that we went from blocking out to some nice clean topo, a little high res, but we are going to be aiming for 3D printing. But even so, this could be a fine base mesh to do sculpting on maps, whatever, and you can still kick out an 18,000, 20,000 poly character now for Unreal or for, you know, a game engine and still have it run nicely too, or for VFX, definitely. So yeah, and even so, if that was the case too, I might still segment stuff off, like the horn, chop it off because it might be slightly different material. Like I'll add toenails for the feet. The tongue will be another separate piece. The teeth will be a separate part. You know, even some horns that might come out in the frill will be separate too. So there'd be extra bits and pieces we'd add in after this basic process. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys learned something. Yeah, and if you have any questions or if you'd like to, like I said, request any kind of tutoring, I am more than happy to help you guys out. Feel free to email me at daniel@lion-arts.com. Thanks for all the info. Yeah, man. DJ, you're welcome. Yeah, if anyone has any last questions, now be the time. We got like less than 60 seconds left. Yeah, that's my email, and again, my site if you want to check out any of my work. If you missed earlier, simply lion-arts.com. And yeah, we're gonna hit that 6 o'clock mark here on the West Coast. Nope, no more questions. All right. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. I hope you guys had fun, and I'll probably stream again in another week or two. We'll see. Yeah, and if you're watching this in the future on YouTube and it's not live, feel free to leave a question or two, or if you need to, in the video comments, and I'll swing back around and check it out. And yeah, be good to go. All right, guys, take care. Be well. See you later.